A little girl whispers, "There's a camera in your office." A millionaire's world shattered, and the one he trusted most? His fiancée, hiding a secret betrayal. But why would anyone spy on a man who had it all? And how could one innocent whisper unravel a life built on power and wealth? This is one of the most shocking tales of love, trust, and ultimate betrayal you'll ever hear. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll see how one whisper exposed a spy and saved a family. Adrian Monroe was the kind of man whose very name carried weight. A self-made millionaire, polished and commanding, with an empire stretching from luxury hotels to high-end tech investments. On the surface, he had it all: wealth, influence, a penthouse overlooking the city skyline, and beside him, a stunning fiancée named Vanessa. The world saw perfection. But behind the glass walls of power, shadows lurked. And it all began with a whisper from a little girl. It was a quiet evening in Adrian's downtown penthouse. Lila, his young daughter, sat on the plush carpet, her tiny hands clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. She was a bright, curious child, with a habit of noticing things most adults overlooked. Adrian, exhausted from a day of back-to-back meetings, poured himself a drink. Vanessa, elegant as ever, scrolled casually through her phone on the leather sofa. Then, without warning, Lila tugged gently at Adrian's sleeve. She leaned close, her voice soft, secretive, almost trembling. "Daddy, there's a camera in your office." Adrian froze. The ice clinked in his glass. For a moment, time seemed to stop. He turned slowly, searching her wide, innocent eyes. "What did you say, sweetheart?" "There's a little camera, with a red light. I saw it when I was playing near your desk." The words landed like a dagger. His office, the heart of his empire, was his sanctuary, the place where confidential deals, sensitive documents, and private conversations lived. A hidden camera? He tried to mask his alarm with a calm smile. "Are you sure, Lila? Maybe it was just a light on one of Daddy's machines." But her little head shook firmly. "No, Daddy." It was watching that night. Adrian couldn't sleep. Lila's whisper echoed in his mind. "A camera, in my office, but who would dare?" He thought of Vanessa, her charm, her beauty, her poise at every gala and charity event. She had stood by him for 2 years, seamlessly blending into his world of luxury. She was adored by his circle, even by Clara, his loyal assistant who practically ran his empire behind the scenes. But trust, Adrian knew, was fragile, and suspicion, once planted, spread like wildfire. The next morning, as he prepared for work, Vanessa kissed him on the cheek, her perfume intoxicating, her smile perfect. But to Adrian, something felt different, forced, hollow. At the breakfast table, Lila ate quietly, occasionally glancing at her father as if she could feel his unease. At the office, Adrian walked the marble halls with his usual commanding stride. But inside, questions stormed. If there is a camera, who put it there? Could Vanessa? No. The thought was unbearable. She was his fiancée, the woman he intended to share his future with. And yet, the whispers of doubt grew louder. He called Clara into his office. Her sharp eyes missed nothing, her loyalty unquestioned. She'd been with him from the early days, long before the millions poured in. "Clara," Adrian said carefully, "have you noticed anything unusual here? In this office?" Her brow furrowed. "Unusual? No, sir. There's something wrong." He hesitated, then shook his head. "Never mind. Just keep an eye out." But Clara left with suspicion flickering in her own eyes. Adrian Monroe was never vague without reason. That evening, back at the penthouse, Vanessa greeted him warmly, her laughter filling the air as she poured wine. To anyone else, she looked flawless, devoted, effortless, perfect. But Adrian studied her differently now. Every movement, every glance, every word weighed heavy. At dinner, Vanessa asked casually, "Rough day?" Adrian forced a smile. "Just a lot on my mind." Her hand brushed his. "Don't worry. You have me." But those words, meant to soothe, burned instead. Because now, Adrian wasn't sure if having her was his greatest blessing or his greatest mistake. Imagine this. Someone you trust, someone you've let into the deepest parts of your life, might be watching you, recording you, betraying you. If you were Adrian, what would you do? Would you confront them immediately or stay silent and investigate? Tell me in the comments. I want to know what you'd do. Sleep again eluded Adrian, so he devised a test. In the stillness of midnight, he returned to his office. He turned off every light. Silence enveloped the room. Then slowly, he scanned the space. And there it was, faint but undeniable. A tiny red glow, almost invisible, in the corner near his bookshelf. Lila hadn't imagined it. She was right. Adrian's heart pounded. He moved closer. A pinhole lens stared back at him, hidden so well it could only have been placed by someone who knew this office intimately. His sanctuary. Violated. He swallowed hard, his mind racing. Who had access? Clara? Unlikely. Security? Possible. Vanessa? The thought stabbed him again. He clenched his fists, rage boiling under his skin. But he didn't rip the device out. Not yet. Number. Adrian Monroe was a strategist. If someone was watching, then they were revealing themselves. He would play along. For now. The next morning, Vanessa hummed cheerfully in the kitchen, serving Lila pancakes, as though nothing were wrong. Adrian, sitting silently at the table, watched her carefully. Every graceful move, every smile. And though his lips curved into a practiced grin, his mind whispered something else entirely. If my fiancée is hiding something, I will find out. The camera still blinked silently in his office. An unblinking eye, a silent witness to secrets, yet uncovered. And so the question begins. Who placed the camera? And why? Was it truly Vanessa? Or someone even closer? Stay with me, because the next discovery will shatter Adrian's world forever. The next day, Adrian arrived at his office as usual, his demeanor calm, his smile intact. But inside, every nerve was alert. He knew the camera was watching, which meant whoever had placed it was waiting to see what he did. So he played the part. He signed documents, made phone calls, and discussed deals with Clara as though nothing was wrong. But beneath his desk, his phone secretly recorded the angle where the camera hid. He would later analyze it, frame by frame. Clara noticed his odd silence. "You're unusually quiet today." Adrian looked up, forcing a grin. "Maybe I'm just getting old." But Clara didn't buy it. She knew Adrian better than anyone. That night, after Vanessa fell asleep beside him, Adrian crept to his private study with the footage he had recorded. He zoomed in on the hidden device. It was small, professional, and expensive. Not something a random intruder would leave behind. This wasn't burglary. This was surveillance. And the feed, where was it going? Adrian's jaw tightened. He needed to know. Over breakfast the next morning, Vanessa's laughter filled the air. She told a story about running into an old friend at a charity gala. Adrian listened carefully, sipping his coffee, appearing relaxed. But then, She said something odd. And when I was in your office last week, I thought maybe you had changed the books on your shelf. Adrian's hand froze on the cup. She had been in his office, alone, recently. Vanessa noticed his pause. What's wrong? Adrian forced a chuckle. Nothing, just thinking. But inside, the suspicion grew darker. By afternoon, Adrian couldn't hold it in any longer. He summoned Clara to his study. I need you to do something for me. Quietly, no questions outside this room. Clara frowned but nodded. Of course. He handed her a photo of the device, taken from his secret recording. Find out where this came from, who sells it, who buys it, everything. But be discreet. Clara studied the photo, her expression tightening. This isn't a toy. Whoever put this here knew exactly what they were doing. I know, Adrian said grimly. That's why I need answers. That evening, Lila sat curled on the sofa, unusually quiet. Adrian knelt beside her. What's wrong, sweetheart? Her little voice trembled. Daddy? Is someone bad watching us? Adrian's chest tightened. Why do you say that? Because I heard Vanessa on the phone. She said, don't worry, he doesn't know yet. Adrian's heart pounded. Do you remember when she said that? Lila nodded. Yesterday, in the kitchen. She didn't see me. The child's words were innocent, but devastating. That night, Adrian devised a plan. If Vanessa or whoever was spying, he would give them something to watch. He staged a phone call in his office, loudly speaking about a secret business deal that didn't exist. He mentioned a large transfer, a foreign account, and key documents he would be leaving overnight in his drawer. Then he left. But not before setting up his own hidden device, a motion-triggered camera aimed at his office desk. This time, he would be the one watching. The next morning, Adrian reviewed the footage, and what he saw sent a chill down his spine. In the middle of the night, the office door had opened. A figure slipped in silently, moving with precision. They went straight to the drawer, where Adrian had said the documents were. And when the figure turned their head, the camera caught it. It was Vanessa, her face lit faintly by the glow of the hidden spy device. Adrian's hand clenched around the armrest of his chair, fury boiling. His fiancée, the woman who shared his home, his bed, his future, had been spying on him all along. Imagine watching proof, the person you love most, sneaking into your private world, betraying you behind your back. What would you do? Would you confront them instantly, or keep watching to learn how deep the betrayal goes? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. Adrian didn't confront her. Not yet. He needed to know why. That evening, Vanessa smiled as she poured wine, her laughter flawless, her beauty dazzling. But to Adrian, she looked like a stranger. Every glance, every word, every kiss, all tainted. Are you okay? She asked softly. You've seemed distant. Adrian forced a chuckle. Maybe I'm just tired. But inside, his rage sharpened. He now had proof. Later, Clara returned with information. She dropped a small folder on Adrian's desk. These cameras? They're not easy to get. Only a handful of suppliers handle them. And guess what? Someone using Vanessa's name placed an order last month. Paid in cash. Adrian stared at the folder, his suspicions confirmed. Anything else? He asked quietly. Clara hesitated. Yes. The buyer requested multiple devices, meaning there could be more than one in your home. The silence that followed was deafening. That night, Adrian returned home, his chest heavy. As he tucked Lila into bed, she clung to him tightly. Daddy, don't let anyone hurt us. He kissed her forehead, his promise unspoken but certain. Then, in the stillness of his darkened study, Adrian began to search. Methodically, he checked every corner, every lamp, every frame. And then, behind a decorative vase, he found another tiny device. The red light blinked silently, watching, waiting. Vanessa's betrayal was deeper than Adrian feared. Cameras weren't just in his office. They were in his home. But the worst secret, the one that would shatter his world completely, was still waiting to be uncovered. Adrian had uncovered cameras in his home. His fiancée, the woman he trusted above all, had planted them. But the bigger question remained. Who was she working for? And just how far would her betrayal go? Adrian spent hours combing through his mansion. Every room he checked left him more unsettled. A tiny lens behind the living room curtain rod. Another inside the smoke detector near his bedroom. One more hidden in a toy chest in Lila's playroom. By dawn, Adrian had counted 6 devices. His home, his sanctuary, had been turned into a prison of surveillance. He slumped into his chair, rubbing his temples. Vanessa had gone to great lengths. But why? Money? Power? Or something darker? The next morning, Adrian called Clara to his study. He locked the door before speaking. There are more cameras. At least 6. Clara's eyes widened. That means everything you've said in this house. Every moment with your daughter. Adrian's jaw clenched. All of it. Recorded. Sent to someone else. Clara leaned forward, voice low. Adrian, this isn't just betrayal. This is espionage. The word stung. Espionage. Against him. At breakfast, Vanessa's laughter rang like music. She kissed Adrian's cheek, her charm flawless. But every glance, every movement screamed deception to Adrian. Are you excited for tonight's gala? She asked, brushing her hand over his arm. It'll be good for you to relax. Relax? How could he, knowing she might be reporting his every word to someone else? He smiled back faintly. Yes, tonight will be interesting. Later that day, Clara returned with grim news. She laid a printed sheet on his desk. The devices you found? They all transmit to an encrypted server. And guess where the signals are bouncing? Adrian scanned the paper, his stomach dropping. It wasn't a random server. It was connected to a shell corporation, one tied to a powerful rival of Adrian's business empire. Vanessa wasn't just spying for herself. She was feeding information to his enemies. That night, Lila climbed into Adrian's lap with her stuffed bear. Her big eyes searched his face. Daddy, why are you sad? Adrian hugged her tightly, hiding the storm raging inside him. I just have a lot on my mind, sweetheart. But you don't need to worry. Daddy will always protect you. Her innocence broke him. The thought of Vanessa using their daughter's home as a spy nest burned like fire. In his study, Adrian paced. He had proof. He could confront Vanessa right now, expose her lies, and throw her out of his life. But another thought stopped him. If he confronted her too soon, she might cover her tracks, destroy evidence, or worse, report back to her handlers that Adrian was on to her. Number. He couldn't just confront her. He had to outplay her. And for that, he needed Clara. Adrian began staging conversations again, carefully planting false information for the cameras. Fake business deals, secret partnerships, hidden wealth trails. Every lie was bait. And every night, Vanessa's pattern repeated. Slipping into his office, checking drawers, snapping photos, making calls when she thought he was asleep. Adrian watched her double life unfold before his eyes. But still, she never revealed the full truth. One evening, while Vanessa attended a charity planning meeting, Adrian seized the chance to search her personal belongings. He opened her jewelry box. Hidden beneath velvet lining, he found a slim flash drive. Hands steady, he plugged it into his secure laptop. What he saw drained the color from his face. Dozens of files, documents from his company, personal records, even transcripts of his private phone calls. Vanessa hadn't just been spying casually. She had been systematically recording his life, and one folder was labeled Lila. Adrian's hands shook as he opened it. Photos, notes about his daughter's school, her daily routine, even security codes for her nanny's pickup. His stomach turned cold. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a threat to his child. Imagine finding out the person you love has files on your child. Every move recorded. Every detail cataloged. What would you do? Confront them in rage or play the long game to protect your family? Tell me in the comments what you would choose. Clara burst into his office the next day, face pale. Adrian, we've got a problem. I traced Vanessa's latest calls. She's meeting someone tonight. Not a friend, not a colleague. Someone connected directly to your rival. Adrian's chest tightened. So it's true. She's their asset. Clara nodded gravely. If she delivers what she has on you, they could cripple your empire. That evening, the grand gala sparkled with chandeliers and champagne. Guests mingled in glittering gowns, laughter echoing through the hall. Vanessa shone brighter than all of them, dazzling in a red dress, her arm looped through Adrian's. To everyone else, they looked like the perfect couple. But Adrian's mind was razor sharp, every sense heightened. At one point, Vanessa slipped away, claiming she needed a moment. Adrian followed at a distance. Through a half-open door, he saw her, whispering urgently into her phone, passing along details of his staged secret deal. Her smile was gone. Her mask was gone. The true Vanessa stood revealed, cold, calculating, dangerous. Back at home that night, Vanessa curled against him, pretending nothing was wrong. Adrian stared at the ceiling, his fury silent. He had enough proof now to end it. But ending it wasn't enough. He had to know. Who exactly was pulling her strings? And how deep had she gone? The next morning, Clara rushed into his office with a trembling hand holding a photo. "You need to see this," she whispered. Adrian looked at the image, and his blood ran cold. It wasn't just Vanessa meeting with his rival. It was Vanessa sitting across from one of his most trusted board members. The betrayal wasn't just at home. It was inside his empire. Vanessa wasn't working alone. Adrian's fiancée and his trusted ally were conspiring together, and the true scale of their plan would shatter his world forever. Adrian now knew the truth. Vanessa wasn't just betraying him to a rival. She was part of a deeper conspiracy that reached into his very empire. The time for watching was over. The time for war had begun. Adrian and Clara sat in his study, papers scattered across the desk. "Vanessa's been feeding everything to them," Clara whispered. "Your business strategies, personal files, even information about Lila." Adrian's jaw tightened. "She thinks she's untouchable, that I'm blind. But tomorrow, I'll show her exactly how wrong she is." Clara looked at him carefully. "You're going to confront her?" "Yes, but not just her. Everyone involved that night." Vanessa returned late, perfume heavy in the air, a smile painted across her lips. "You're still awake?" she teased, slipping off her heels. Adrian studied her, masking the storm within. Couldn't sleep. She leaned down, kissing his forehead. "Don't worry, love. Soon everything will be perfect, perfect." The word echoed like poison. The next morning, Clara burst into his office with new evidence. "Adrian, I've got recordings. Vanessa's handlers aren't just your rivals. They're planning a hostile takeover. And your board member, Richard? He's been helping them from inside." Adrian clenched his fists. Richard, his longtime advisor. Another betrayal. "Then we end this tonight," Adrian declared. Adrian devised a trap. He scheduled a confidential strategy session at his mansion that evening, inviting Richard under the guise of finalizing a billion-dollar deal. Vanessa, as expected, would overhear every word. But hidden in the shadows, Adrian's tech team, brought in secretly with Clara's help, would monitor every move. Tonight, there would be no escape. As the sun set, Richard arrived. Vanessa played her role perfectly, welcoming him with a glass of wine, her smile flawless. Adrian led Richard into his study, deliberately discussing fabricated plans, every word designed as bait. In the corner of his eye, Adrian caught it, Vanessa's reflection in the mirror, eavesdropping at the door. Perfect. Minutes later, Vanessa excused herself. Adrian's team traced her steps. She slipped into the garden, phone in hand, whispering urgently into the night. "They've confirmed it," she hissed. "Adrian's moving assets offshore. It's the chance we needed." Suddenly, floodlights blazed across the garden. Clara stepped forward with security in tow, recording everything. Vanessa froze, her mask cracking. Adrian emerged from the shadows. "Who were you talking to, Vanessa?" His voice was calm, deadly. Her eyes darted, searching for escape. "Adrian, I can explain." "No," he cut her off. "You've explained enough with every lie, every camera, every secret you've sold." Richard stumbled into the scene, eyes wide. "Adrian, this isn't what it looks like." But Adrian's security already had him restrained. The Empire's rot was laid bare. Vanessa's mask shattered completely. Tears streamed down her face as she fell to her knees. "Adrian, I didn't have a choice. They threatened me. They said they'd ruin me if I didn't cooperate." Her voice cracked, trembling. "But I love you. I swear, I only did it to protect us." For a moment, Adrian's chest tightened. Memories of their laughter, their kisses, the dreams they shared. Was it all a lie? He looked down at her, eyes burning. "Love doesn't spy. Love doesn't endanger my daughter." At that moment, small footsteps padded across the garden. Lila, clutching her teddy bear, had woken from her nap and wandered outside. She looked up at Vanessa, then at her father. In the softest whisper, she asked, "Daddy, why is she crying?" Adrian knelt, pulling Lila into his arms. "Because sometimes, sweetheart, people pretend to love us, when really, they want to hurt us." Lila hugged him tightly, whispering into his ear, "Then don't let her hurt you anymore." The innocence of her words cut deeper than any blade. Adrian knew what he had to do. Adrian stood tall, his voice steady. "Vanessa, you're finished. Whatever excuses you have, whatever lies you spin, it ends tonight." He nodded to security. They escorted her away, her pleas fading into the night. Richard followed, silent and defeated. The empire Adrian built would survive, because he had chosen truth over illusion. Later, Adrian sat with Clara in his study, exhaustion heavy in his eyes. "It's over," Clara said softly. Adrian shook his head. "No, it's just beginning. The empire needs rebuilding. Trust has to be earned again. But one thing is certain. Vanessa will never touch my daughter's life again." Clara placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "And you'll rise stronger. You always do. That night, Adrian tucked Lila into bed. She clutched her bear, eyes heavy with sleep. "Daddy," she murmured. "The lady's gone?" "Yes, sweetheart," Adrian whispered, brushing her hair back. "She's gone. And no one will ever hurt us again," her tiny arms wrapped around his neck. "I love you, Daddy." Tears burned his eyes as he kissed her forehead. "I love you too, more than anything in this world." For the first time in weeks, Adrian felt a peace he thought he had lost forever. Adrian had faced betrayal deeper than he ever imagined. The woman he trusted most turned out to be his greatest enemy. But in the end, love for his daughter gave him the strength to rise above the lies. Vanessa's secrets had shattered his world, but not his spirit. And sometimes it takes betrayal to remind us of what truly matters: truth, loyalty, and the people worth fighting for. Would you have forgiven Vanessa or ended it like Adrian did? Tell us in the comments.